Can you see that? And if I have the faith that if I change the emotional condition, things will change, then things will change. That's how everything on the planet's ever changed.
It's okay. If we're thinking that we're going to change our emotional condition, our soul condition, do we have to have a vision of what we want it to be, or is it just enough to hope that it's going to change by, feeling past emotions and things like that?
An inspired vision is much more powerful than hope, because hope could be something that's totally based on an emotional injury. An inspired vision is totally different. A vision is very helpful.
It activates your desire. If you don't know where you're headed for, there's not a lot of desire in that, is there? It's just like you said, it's just a hope that if I deal with this, things will get better. But if you can generate the vision and the desire, it's much more powerful.
Can you imagine for a moment, if, as an illustration, you imagine that you've not got any fear anymore. If you just closed your eyes, so let's just try this as an audience, just close your eyes and imagine yourself as a completely fearless being, that you're not afraid to tell the truth to any single person in your entire life, that you're not afraid to do anything. So bungee jumping or whatever, that doesn't scare you anymore, and jumping out of a plane with a parachute, that doesn't frighten you anymore. Going swimming in the sea doesn't frighten you anymore. Talking to an angry person doesn't frighten you anymore. Right? Feeling angry spirits around you doesn't frighten you anymore. You see somebody being thrown by a spirit, right, from one end of the room to the other, and that doesn't scare you anymore. Right? You see these really grotesque spirits that you can picture in your mind but you can't see at the moment, but you actually see them now with your eyes, but they don't frighten you anymore either. And you're not afraid of anything that would happen to your children. You're not afraid of them getting run over by a truck or a car, or falling off of a building, or getting stung by an animal, or getting bitten by an animal that caused them to have a lot of pain. You're not afraid of that anymore. And imagine for a moment you're not even afraid of pain anymore. So you don't even, it has no effect on you anymore. It has no response in you anymore. Can you imagine just being in that place? It's just an amazing place to be. Just imagine yourself being there. Now imagine if you could do that every single day. You could imagine yourself just for 5 minutes being in this place without fear. So 5 minutes a day, that's all you do. You just imagine it. Right? Well, what you're doing right now, if you're imagining it, is you're actually praying about it. And you're actually starting to conceive by just allowing the imagination to picture this place. You're starting to conceive what it would be like to be in this place without fear. And that faith that it can happen can now drive you for the rest of the day. You can remember what you imagined. So your imagination is a very powerful tool that you have to picture things that are idyllic, that you want for yourself or for your environment or for the planet. And that imagination in itself is creative. And you can sit down and draw some pictures about it, what it would be like, how you would feel inside. And you could sit down and draw some pictures about what life would be like, living with other people like this. Where not a single person gets angry with you anymore because they're no longer afraid. So if you can imagine yourself picturing that every single day, let's say you did that for 5 minutes in a day, how do you think you'd feel? Do you think you'd feel motivated to deal with your emotions that cause you to not be there? If you can keep that picture in your mind, of course you would be motivated, wouldn't you? And so as you allow that imagination to enter you, what happens, and see the pictures, the actual feelings inside of you grow. All through my life, the way I've discovered truth was that I first imagined what it would be like. And then what I did was I'd pray about it so much to see whether it's possible. So I imagined something, imagine what I could conceive. So for example, with the soul union thing, right, in terms of the two halves of the soul becoming one, what happened originally was that it began in my imagination. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I started imagining it, started imagining what it'd be like, and then I'd be talking about it with Mary in the spirit world, and we started both imagining what it'd be like to merge into this one soul. And I just feel, yes, there's a possibility here, there's something about this. And we start seeing the patterns in the universe, you know, the way everything is made seems to come in these two halves, you know, and looking at these patterns and then trying to apply it to our relationship and starting to see how it all comes together. And then in the spirit world, working on that relationship in such a manner that eventually the union process occurs where you become one, right? Now that began in my imagination. And it turned out to be a reality. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to imagine and picture in your mind possibilities. Yeah. What do you want to say?